Attention, citizens of fair Gotham, welcome once again to Bat Minute Beyond. Chunkz of the Joker. I still can't say that, Niall. Why have we decided on that?
Neo-Chunkz of the Joker. Neo-Chunkz of the Jokers.
Why did we come up with that? It looks great on paper, but saying it, no. But I was going to say I'm one of your hosts. I normally do an intro. I am one of your hosts, John Parker, here helping to host the show that doesn't find clowns funny. You hear?
No, not here. But I am the other host who has honored the mantle of Batman many times now. And I hope you thank me for it. Niall McGarrness.
Hey, if the listeners aren't thanking you, there's something wrong. Come on. Your dedication to this is, unmatched.
Well, maybe matched by the guests we have coming up, actually.
Yes,
right here.
That is very true. We are joined by one returning guest and one new guest, but they are very familiar with each other. We are joined by Luke and Mary Mears.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey. Welcome back and welcome for the first time.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
So I know since, because obviously, Luke, people might recognize you from last year because you were the voice of Serum Lake, which is a YouTube channel dedicated to sort of dissecting elements of the BTAS universe, which really has like, I'm enjoying watching your trajectory because it's just like, holy moly, you're getting like bigger and bigger every day. It's like, wow. It's a little bit of me like, why can't we boom like that? But then you do like 10-minute videos and we do like 3-hour like long rambling sessions.
Well,
So
here's the trick
That's a
then.
slight difference.
Here's the trick then. Take your 3 hours, break them up into 10 minutes and release them daily.
That's an idea. Maybe we should try it, John. A new strategy.
A lot of these shows do daily.
Yeah.
We decided not to because we were like, that's ridiculous. Not doing that.
Oh.
But we are here to talk about Chunk 5, which is minutes 21 to 25. Unless I've written that down incorrectly, which we've been having trouble with this all season so far.
And even you saying that too, it's like, it's really over there already? Jesus.
Yeah.
It's like, oh.
We're not used to it. But the minutes start with Teri being a pest, and it ends with serial theft.
Yeah, it does. It does indeed.
The worst kind
Not
of
serial
theft.
as in repeated.
I should also say, because you folks both host a podcast of your own called Totally Shui,
Yes.
Yes.
which people might be able to deduce is somewhat about the Batman Beyond universe and beyond. But like, so should I ask though, what are both of your histories with Batman Beyond and the Return of the Joker in particular?
So I didn't start watching Batman Beyond until 2008 because Luke had ordered them. He lived in the UK. He still does. And I lived in the States, and he ordered the DVDs, and because I opened his mail, I watched them. And I've always been a fan of BTAS, and I just couldn't not watch it over and over again. And I kind of fell in love with it because it was so different than, the stuff that was on, like the Powerpuff Girls and what's the Dexter's Laboratory and stuff. And
Oh, yeah.
it felt right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very, very understandable. Although I would never say anything against Powerpuff Girls. Or Dexter's Lab,
No.
'cause
We do like the Powerpuff Girls. We do. We don't want them to beat us up. That's fine.
Honestly, there's nothing wrong with that, but it's nice to have a change.
Yeah.
And in my case, I suppose I grew up with Batman the Animated Series and I just wanted more of it. And then Batman Beyond came along, so I watched that. And obviously it's all connected. So as far as I'm concerned, it's just as important, just as valid, just as excellent, just in a slightly different way.
Yeah, totally.
Which again is what you want. If it was just more of the same, like exactly, but well, there's no point in this, but it retains enough to feel familiar, but then mixes it up.
I agree.
Yeah, it's got those nice little tidbits in there that you're like, oh yeah, I remember that.
It's so weird that because we're talking about specifically a movie that's just all about like sort of gelling the two things together. It's very much like it's a full-on sequel to BTAS.
Yes.
But it's also still trying to get in all your new stuff as well. But the show, majoritively, like, you wouldn't know it from if you were just listening to this podcast and you had never seen Batman Beyond. They were taking like real pains to not go back to old villains and stuff. So they only ever did it like maybe 5 times or something.
Well, that's why this is a big deal, isn't it? This movie.
Yeah. So this one is like, I can assure you, this movie is in many ways not representative of Batman Beyond because it's not all about like, hey, the Scarecrow's back this week. It's like, oh, well, let me tell you, I don't trust him.
Then again, we've got a knockoff Scarecrow in this one.
Indeed, yeah. Oh,
I never thought about that.
Yeah, Ghoul, he's the Christopher Walken Scarecrow.
Yeah.
I was going to say, with my history with Batman Beyond Return of the Joker, actually, question for you both. Are you watching the uncut version or the original release, which was censored?
Yeah, we're definitely doing because I think it's almost like more difficult to get the original version now than the uncut's just become like the standard version, really.
It seems it, because when I went to get hold of this for this project, like, I could only find the uncut, so I was a bit confused. I was like, wait, so is this really the uncut one?
It's weird to see, like, there's a kind of, it's almost like a reverse Snyder cut thing going on, where apparently there are fans out there going, like, you need to properly release, like, the original version of Return of the Joker, because that's the one I know. And then, like, instead of demanding, like, the footage you can't see, people want, like, no, I want the version where you took out the stuff. Like,
well, you know, people are like that. I mean, I have a friend who insists on only ever watching the original cut of Blade Runner. He's like, I'm not watching any of the other versions. I don't care. I want the voiceover.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm like, okay, if that's what you want.
Yeah, totally. Personal preference.
Well, it's funny you say that, because the Blu-ray collector's edition set of Batman Beyond, at least in the UK, came with a DVD copy of the uncut version of the film. And the only way to get a Blu-ray copy of the uncut version, excuse me, I think I might have said the wrong thing there. Let me rewind. The Blu-ray collection of Batman Beyond came with the censored version on DVD. And the only way to get the uncut version on Blu-ray is to import the German copy, which fortunately is all in English.
The subtitles aren't there either, are they?
No. But I remember when the film came out, and I was, how old would I have been? Like 15 maybe. And I was outraged. And I managed to track down a bootleg VHS copy on eBay that came from the States. And it worked on our UK VHS.
Oh, that's rare.
Yeah. So that's how I experienced it. A grainy bootleg copy of the film.
This is giving me flashbacks. It's giving me nightmares. I'm thinking all about when it was a struggle to get the second season of Twin Peaks, and I had to import it from the Netherlands.
Yeah, that's it. I still have that my Netherlands copy, because it was just like, well, it seems as if there's never going to be a revitalization of the show. The only version of season 2 we will ever have now will be these European, and then like a year later, it's just like, hey everyone, Twin Peaks, and just all that
now
gold
they release
box
it every year. Yeah.
Now it's just like, oh, you can't bring out another goddamn version of it. You can't.
There's that terrible one from Z to A or something. It's like, this is the least David Lynch thing I've ever seen in my life, but okay.
Yeah, it's like, I'll stick very well with my unmatching old school DVDs. Thank you very much.
But in the minutes with a Z, minutes, we have to do that because it's cool. We are back as Commissioner Gordon, not that one. Is sick of Teri and his ways, like me. I think I'm becoming notorious for just not liking Teri on the show.
Poor Teri.
He's a good character. Don't get me wrong. Like, I like the character, but I hate him, if you know what I mean. Like, I just want to smack him.
Although I wonder if you were to watch all of Batman Beyond and see Terry's development over time, like what you would think of him by the end, because he does have a journey and stuff. So
yeah, I mean, I'll tell you too. I mean, the listeners know by now. I'm very unfamiliar with this series, so I've only watched a few episodes, and then I've come into this. So I am firmly of like, oh, he's so annoying. He's such but he is accurate. That's what a teenager in this position might be like, you know. So it's not bad writing or anything. I love that they've written him that way.
You often forget that he's supposed to be a teenager. And then when he goes to Bruce, he's like, oh, Mr. Wayne, da-da-da-da. I'm like, oh, wow. Yeah, he's like 17.
Although over here, at least where I came from, like in Ireland, there was no real practice of like, calling your neighbors and stuff by like, oh, you know, Mr. Wilson and all this business.
No, so it feels very American to me, that.
Yeah. So it feels like if it had been set in Ireland, he would have been like, Bruce. Like, there would be no Mr. Wayne about it. They'd be like, oh, hey, Brucey.
I've only ever called someone Mr. or Mrs. in like formal letters I have to do at work, you know?
Yeah.
I say ma'am and mister all of the time, and people kind of get offended. But that's okay. I'll just be like, oh, hi.
Oh, I think they should be like, well, okay, you're not from here. It's fine.
But so to get into this, I love this little exchange for multiple reasons. One, we actually finally get to talk about Barbara Gordon. No Barbara Wilson. None of that old Alicia Silverstone fake out that we had to deal with for 120 episodes way back when.
Don't you dare diss her, though.
We've got the legit, old school, proper Barbara Gordon here for once. Like, and I was like, oh, we finally get to talk about like Tim Drake in this movie. But, oh my God, for real. It's like, yeah, we actually get to talk about the legit Batgirl. So that's reason one. Two, I love it because it's a complete flip of everything we know about the Batman-Gordon relationship normally. Because usually it's always Commissioner Gordon desperately trying to get a hold of Batman, standing up in the dark at night with the bat signal, like waiting for him and just like hoping to get like a snippet of a conversation. And then Batman will say something, you know, helpful but a bit rude, and then disappear. And Gordon like, oh, he's gone again. Like a real like, oh, I guess we got just about enough as we needed out of that conversation. Whereas in this, it's broad daylight, Teri just swaggers in, and Barbara's dying to get rid of him the entire time. So it's a complete role reversal for what we're used to, which I kind of almost wish at one point Teri had been in the seat and he turned around and Barbara was gone or something. And he's like, oh,
that would have been perfect.
Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me as well, because you're right. Like, she just wants rid of him. In fact, I love that she's so bold and upfront. She just says to him to go away.
Yeah, she is a Batman skeptic, but she does come around eventually, I think. I wonder if there's a certain element that obviously she knows what happened with the Joker, and she, like Bruce, wants to keep him far away from that man.
Yeah, we're not getting into all of that anymore, Teri. I'm saying that's old news. No, it's dangerous. We're not. Yeah,
but she I think throughout the most of the show, though, she does have a very surprisingly sort of there's a bit of animosity between her and the whole Batman thing as well. Like at one point when she believes Batman's guilty of murder, she's like, okay, I'm landing down on you in the full force of the law. I'll take all this business.
Yeah, she's not having it.
When she encounters Bruce, they have like a little. There's an episode where like he's talking about like he makes her tea, and she's all like, "Oh, I can't make those little tea cakes like Alfred used to make." And she's like, "You mean crumpets?" And he's like, "Oh," and they have like a very brief laugh, and then it's just like, "Okay, down to business. I'm not here to like be sociable with you." So it seems like a lot of and then if you read into like the expanded comics and stuff, there's potential reasons as to why Barbara might be so. Brusque with Bruce. But,
those comics, they don't count. There's no one involved in the show worked on those comics, so they're very easy to disregard. And I think not to get into a rant, because I do this almost every week, I swear, but they take the very easy option, like Scarecrow Beyond, and here is the second Two-Face, etc. It's just lazy.
Two-Face?
Yeah, don't even get me started.
Two-Face, wow, it makes so much sense.
It's too cheap, and it goes against the spirit of the show, as you mentioned earlier, where they tried not to focus on the villains and made the legacy villains, I should say. And they made these legacy villains a special event, like the Meltdown episode with Mr. Freeze, and obviously this film.
Yeah. So that's such a better approach, because as much as we love those villains, at the same time, aren't we all a bit sick of them? And we were already sick of them in this era, clearly, and it's still going on. Like every movie, you got a hint of the Joker. And it's like, oh, God,
Well, yeah,
he's like one of my favorite characters, but stop hinting at him, please.
Yeah. But so we do get this is our first time hearing Commissioner Gordon in the movie, and our first time hearing this version of her, because this is not the Commissioner Gordon from the show. For a show that had such great pains of creating a continuity, and Kevin Conroy been Batman, through infinity. Like, he would go whatever the Tim Dini universe we're doing, he was going to be their Batman. Hamill will always come back to be the Joker. They'll get Michael Ansari will be, of course he'll come back to be Mr. Freeze, etc., etc. And they could not nail down a Batgirl for love nor money. And look at this point, Angie Harmon here is the 5th actress to play the part. And it's like, geez, Louise, why can't they? I think she's not even the only person to play the part in this film. It's like, for the love of God, just choose a Batgirl and stick with it. But yeah, I think originally it was Melissa Gilbert, then Mary Kay Bergman, then Tara Strong, who kind of let's feel a bit bad for Tara Strong, because obviously wonderful actress, but then she always has this thing where she kind of really wants. I've seen her in interviews really wanting to be I'm Harley Quinn now. That's who, that's my role. I took it over from Arlene. I've played the part more. That's my role. And then people are no, that's Arlene Sorkin's role. That's And then if not Arlene Sorkin, then it's Margot Robbie's role, or it's Kaylee Cuoco's role, and everyone and Tara
Everyone but you.
But then of course as well with Batgirl, it's just oh yeah, we need a Batgirl quickly. Tara, come do Batgirl, but you're not going to be the permanent Batgirl. We'll just whenever we need a quick Batgirl, we'll get Tara Strong in.
As they say in football, because I'm such a football head, she's a super sub.
Exactly.
You put her in, to fill in any gaps that you need, but she's never who you rely on.
So she'd come out and be but I'm Batgirl. It's isn't Batgirl Melissa Gilbert? It's no, it was me.
I do feel for her because she's great.
Oh yeah, she's phenomenal. And then in the show Batman Beyond, of course, Stockard Channing played the role.
I love me some Channing.
Do you?
Yes.
I don't know who it is.
Oh my God, she was in Grease.
Oh yeah, she's Rizzo from Grease. Stockard Channing, massively
Don't make me sing
famous
Musical
actress.
Dropout. Don't make me do it.
Please do. Take it away.
But just a question. I've always wondered this. I love Angie. Absolutely love her to pieces. But Barbara's from Gotham, right?
Yeah.
Why does Barbara sound like me?
Yeah, they haven't quite nailed that down, the place.
Yeah. Then maybe there was after the whole Batgirl thing fell apart, she was I'm going to move out. I'm moving to another state.
Yeah.
And then she just stayed there for 30 years, and she's I'm getting so into it. I'm just going to adopt the accent. I'm going to adopt everything.
Yeah. That's just.
And then came back, all right, I guess I'll be commissioner then.
Yeah. She's if I have to.
I tell you what I do really like as well with her design. I don't know if this is just me wanting to see this, but I imagine that they thought about it. I think she actually looks like she could be Jim Gordon's child.
Mm-hmm. Oh, definitely.
In the design of her face, it's very similar to how they draw his face in the animated series. I think they've started as a base of him and then feminized it, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she also looks like what was the name of the police chief in The Dark Knight Returns? Ellen Yendel or something like that. She looks a bit like that with the glasses and her outfits.
I can see it, yeah.
It would be Chris Nolan swiping from something else now.
Noted hack Chris Nolan. Again, we've caught him yet again, Niall.
So noted he's got an Oscar now. But
Oh, yeah. We did get that
we
Oscar.
really love him secretly. We make fun of him.
Yeah. I did also note there in the background, I don't know why it took my attention so much, but they have to put in little things to make you think it's future-y. And I love that this random screen she has in the background that just has a T on it. And it's just that's my T screen. That's where that feeds me all the news. That's where I get all my tea. It all comes in through the tea screen.
Oh, the tea screen. Oh, I love it. Spill the tea.
I know. I'm I want one of those. Give me the tea. Spill the tea for me.
Yeah. How have we not developed this yet? What's going on?
Yeah, I guess we maybe have developed it. It's just in the form of the endless scroll.
That's not as nuanced as the T-screen.
It's up to us. We should be the change we wish to see in the world. It's like,
That's true.
Burn all these recordings so nobody knows that we just swiped it from Batman Beyond.
Noted hacks Batman. I also found it quite interesting that Teri quite liked her being forward and telling him to go as well. Like, he genuinely was like, I kind of respect that. And he'd love nothing more than to leave right now.
Yeah.
But he needs to know about clowns. What can you tell me about clowns? And I actually think the response is really good writing and quite... It's almost like scary when you know what she's talking about, because she says, in this town, they're never funny. In any other hands, that could just be a stupid line. But when you know everything, you're like, oh, yeah.
Yeah. I think even when you don't know everything, it really works. I remember, like, way back when I first saw this, and obviously after Batman Beyond, you hadn't seen the Joker in friggin' ages and stuff. And so to get little crumbs of things like that, where it was just like, it was the same... like kind of feeling of like at the end of seeing Batman Begins in the cinema, where flips over the card and it's the Joker card, and you're like, So now you're finally getting into that. Like, now we're in Joker overdrive as a culture. It's just like, Jesus Christ, just get rid of this guy for a bit, would you?
Yeah, slow down.
But back then it was really something. So I love little ominous vibes like that. So,
it gives you a little bit of a chill.
Absolutely, because this movie as a whole, I think, does very well at making the Joker scary again. Well, sometimes he's too silly and too commit, but this is like, he's silly and terrifying.
I think that was one of the big strengths of BTAS, is that they would always hop between the two worlds. You'd have some episodes where it's just like, he's just doing a silly, goofy robbery or whatever, and and then at one point he will do something really like, he's actually gonna, like, dunk Batman in acid or something like that.
Like, he's
and then there'll be
evil.
other episodes where it's just like, this guy's a proper full-blown psycho and stuff, where you're like, he is. Although one of my questions from just this chunk in general is, I was just curious about, like, Teri's kind of virtual ignorance of what the Joker was, because you think in Gotham it'd be pretty well documented, like, because when he comes in and he's just like, freaking whoopee cushions and splashing flowers. Come on, that's no big deal. It's like, you think in their, I don't know if it'd be a class or something in their school, but if you're in a city that had Batman and all these villains, you think there'd be like, you should know our cultural history, where like this massive attack that happened on this date way back when the Batman was involved with, or
Yeah, because we have like whole like college blocks of serial killers and stuff per city, so they should have something like that in Gotham.
Well, something to keep in mind is he would have died 40 years before the events of the film. If we think about any like really heinous crimes that took place, let's say 50 years ago, I mean, we've got an idea of the culprits based on what history reports, right? We don't know the intimate details unless you specifically go looking for them. So I imagine the same thing would have happened with the Joker. And actually, that's one of the things I really like about Batman Beyond, is that these really significant, awful human beings that they cause massive damage, they destroy people's lives and so on. Once they're dead, people forget about them pretty quickly and they fade away to nothing, really. And it's beautiful and sad and excellent.
Yeah.
It's realistic, isn't it? Like, that's one problem I had with, and I'm not a hater, I'm a lover generally, but with the new Star Wars movies, the way it was like they all know about the adventures of Luke Skywalker. It's like they've watched the movies.
Yeah. And
it's like, no, hang on, you wouldn't know about some mystic / general from 30 odd years ago. How would people in the world know about that?
Yeah. This is Luke himself was going around like, I die great. You should make a TV show about me,
Well, they know about, maybe you'd know about him, but they know about Han Solo.
Oh, yeah,
like, unless you're a history buff and you study this at school, who's going to know about generals who won battles? The public don't.
I just wonder though, like, if because we have so many different continuities in terms of like spanning across various iterations of the character, or characters, to make sure we're still cool. Like, I can imagine, say in like the Burtonverse, I think it might be a pretty big deal. It's like, oh yeah, when the Joker showed up, he had the city like terrified for weeks because we couldn't use any any cosmetics because people were literally dropping dead with this big rictus grin all over the place. And then after that, there was a big event where he came out and gassed hundreds of people to death in the middle of the street. And then friggin' Batman showed up and crashed a jet into him and stuff like that. So it'd be like, I think people like 30 years later would still be like, yeah, that was a big deal. That was but then within this continuity, I was kind of thinking like, what's the biggest thing the Joker's actually done? Beyond like, I think the most like heinous thing he's done is in this film when we get to the flashback. You see like just how horrible he could be. But I was thinking like within the continuity, I think the biggest thing I can think that he did that would have a massive impact that everyone would be like, whoa, was in Justice League when he kind of takes over Las Vegas with the Wild Flush Gang or the Royal Flush Gang. Sorry, that feels like a bit because he's literally taken on the entire Justice League at that point.
Yeah, and he tried to turn everyone mad by broadcasting a signal through the TV.
Yeah,
there's also in the last laugh he gassed Gotham so that he could rob jewelry stores for some reason. So yeah, I mean he's done some pretty large-scale things. But if you think about real-world large-scale things, like let's say 9/11, within a decade of that happening, people... It's not that they forgot about it, it's just they start contorting it and twisting it, and it becomes about the conspiracy theories rather than the events that happened. Like, what can we say about the people that committed that atrocity? Not very much, but I bet everyone's got an opinion on the melting point of steel rods, right?
One of them wore glasses.
Yeah.
I just need you to know that one of them wore glasses that did laser beams. It was laser beams.
It's very important.
Yes, laser beams.
Yeah, that's a good point because even that came up with that was part of the discourse after Ghostbusters Afterlife came out. Was that people like, oh, these Ghostbusters seem pretty dejected and like all these kind of hints about what they did. And it's like, didn't they like stopped? Like there was a god appeared above New York. Then they went and and there's a giant marshmallow man. And then they moved the Statue of Liberty down the street. Why doesn't anyone seem to remember this? But then people will go like, people now talk about 9/11 being a conspiracy. Like it literally, if you get enough distance from an event, it does become, people will warp it in their own mind. So, yeah that's actually it's a totally good point. In Teri's head, then, he's just like, yeah, these jokers, losers seem to really like this guy. But from what I recall, it's like, oh, some asshole who was looked like a clown. And I guess he did some stuff. But then exposed in Gotham, it's like, there's like 50 people who nearly destroyed the city. It's happening all the time. So, what made him better than any of the rest of them? So they actually find out, oh no, he was the worst, apparently. But
yeah, no, that's absolutely right. And I think as well, not to sound ageist, but when you're young, 10 years or something like that is a lifetime in your head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As you get older, time shifts and changes. So a young person, even if it was 5 years ago, they're like, oh, that's old news.
Yeah. So I've even talked to my friends' kids now, and I think even a week to them seems like that's just an endless amount of time.
Yeah,
waiting a week for something. I'm like, a week is literally I'm aware because I've got 10 days off now, for various reasons, and I've been looking forward to it so much. But I know in the blink of an eye, those 10 days are going to be over.
Oh yeah, it'd be nothing. As a kid, if you had 10 days off, that would be life
it's like a lifetime. Yeah, it's a proper this is, oh my God, I'm getting a month off. But now this is no, I'll be back to work literally before I know it.
We could do so much in 10 days, guys.
I know, that'd be...
We could walk down to a creek and find a dead body and then think about it. And then we come back and still have the weekend.
Well, I'm going to go out and look for a dead body now, then. You've convinced me, Mary. That's a great idea.
Keep me updated if you find one. I haven't got 10 days off. I can't join you.
Well, you will be doing me for at least one of the days in Belfast, John. We can go on that afternoon, we'll go on a corpse hunt.
A corpse hunt in Belfast. Yeah, that's going to be great.
There's a good chance you might find one.
What movie am I thinking of? Is it Stand By Me?
Yeah.
That's not set in Belfast, though, just to clarify.
That's not in Belfast.
We're going to reboot Stand By Me, and the reboot's set in Belfast. There you go.
Stand By Me.
We're going to do it in 10 days.
You're allowed to do the accent. I can't do it.
But in this, though, I don't this is one of my many, one of a Batman staple at this point of me thinking there's a thing where there's probably not a thing, and it's probably a massive coincidence. But just the way that Barbara sits down as she starts talking about the Joker, and she starts typing on a little computer screen, and just the way she sat, it just kind of really gave me Oracle vibes. Because obviously within DCAU they never did Oracle, but her talking about like how heinous the Joker is, while in that kind of position, it almost made me think like they were doing a little like, well, in the main continuity of stuff, one of the Joker's most heinous acts was the disabling of Barbara Gordon. And
you're not reading into it, like that's there definitely. They're making you think of that.
But that was a deliberate like within the script or anything, or it was just an animator choice or whatever. But like it does seem like it doesn't even just have her typing on a computer, because that's Oracle's whole thing. Is like the woman who's always sitting and typing. Like that was she's like the anti Rory Calhoun, But so if that's intentional, then fair enough,
It absolutely is. There's no way that's an accident, because I know it's not part of this continuity, but they know you know.
Yeah. And then, again, as a little recurring thing throughout the rest of the... I have to see how many other times it happens in the movie. When Terry's sort of acting up, and he's just been a bit of a jerkwad. She, the way she goes, like, McGarrness! Like... And it's like not like one chunk ago that we have Dana also going, McGarrness! Like, this guy's getting on everybody's wick. Because Terry's just an annoyance to all of Neo Gotham, apparently. It's even that, and then his annoyingness sort of becomes his strength by the end, because how does he defeat the Joker? It's just by irritating him, by really winding him up and stuff. So if it had ended with the Joker going, McGarrness, or something like that, it would have been a great rule of three, but I don't think they would have it would have seemed out of place for the Joker to shout that, I think.
McGarrness.
Yeah. Where, if I could put it in an edit, my own cut, when he shouts out, like, you're not Batman, he should put in just me dubbing it, going, McGarrness! And to see how it flies for people. But yeah, and then Terry does I really like that little bit of animation when he's kind of put in his place, and he kind of he seems it's another real indication that he is still a kid, because he looks like a kid who's just been told off by his teacher, basically, or by his mother or something.
Well, it doesn't help that he's being so dismissive as well. So it's antagonizing her a little bit. It's like, you got to take this seriously.
Yeah. But just like the head down, the hands together, and really it's like, it's like he found out that he broke a window or something like that. Like, Terry, get in here! I know the parental thing would be call him Terrence, because you always knew you were in bother when your parents would say, like, one of my friends, every time she knew she was in trouble, was on her mom would go, Stephanie, and stuff like that, instead of calling her Steph and stuff like that.
But you know what,
Terrence
Terry...
McGarrness, come here right now.
Terry, though, he leaves because he doesn't get it.
Yeah.
And he won't get it until he has to face it properly alone. Like, you can't explain it to him until he's dealt with this himself, until he has actually experienced the Joker.
I must face him alone.
No.
Alone. I do kind of see Barbara as, kind of like, parental, but I also see her as an older sister as well. Just telling Terry, like, dude, I've been there. Like, totally just don't do it. And if you continue to do this, I'm just going to stop talking and give you the silent treatment.
I respect that.
Yeah. And I don't know, I just really loved the way that they've done Barbara in this was just like, strong, independent woman, of course, but a little bit annoying. A little bit annoying. just tell him already.
Oh, that's the thing. They always have to do this in movies, though, where it's like, just give him the information, okay? Like, how's it gonna kill him to know what happened right now? Because that might actually make him take things more seriously. But instead of just being like, no, he's more dangerous than anything you ever faced, and I hope you never have to face him. Just get out of my office. Like,
well, you can't make him understand until he's dealt with it. You can explain it. He doesn't care.
But down the line, she is just going to tell him what happened. So just do it now.
It's trauma.
Yeah.
Things like that. She doesn't want to mention it because then she has to deal with it again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
To relive it, yeah.
Yeah.
but then we cut. Meanwhile, at stately Wayne Batcave.
Well, hang on a moment. There was one little detail you missed off. As Teri leaves the room, somebody else barges past and comes in.
And it's that guy who was watching TV just before.
Yeah.
And Teri's reaction is a bit of a sort of overstep because he's just like, whoa! Like when the guy's coming in the door, he's like, Jesus, it's him! Like, it would be amazing if he was like, that's the Joker! This is him right there!
It's him, guys! That's the guy!
And Barbara would be like, that's ridiculous. He doesn't have the same body shape or in any way, even vaguely physically looks like the Joker. To make him be the Joker would be like a massive, just like mislead altogether. But yeah, of course we do get. But still, we haven't. Oh, does she? Because he says, "Thanks for seeing me, Barbara." Did she call him Tim in this moment, or?
I don't think she did.
No, I think we're still not entirely sure who. I think he was referred to as Tim by his wife, right, in the last chunk. So we're still sort of dotting around that like. This is the Tim Drake from the old show and stuff. We're like, well, we'll get there into the big old Dean Stockwell of it all. What are you guys' your familiarity with Angie Harmon though? Because as in our first chunk, our friend Neil Brown, he was just after finishing a rewatch of Baywatch Nights.
Yeah,
and he was very excited to talk about Angie Harmon because apparently that was her big break. And she was like a supermodel, basically, or at least a model. And Hasselhoff saw her on a plane and was like, "You're going to co-star in my Baywatch spinoff," which of course was, I'm sure, for very wholesome reasons.
Absolutely,
at all. But yeah, she's had a massive successful career though, because she went into Law and Order after, and then
that's how I know her.
And then she did that show. I can never pronounce because I've never watched it, and I just always see the title. But it's like Rizzoli's and Islas?
Rizzoli and Isle?
Rizzoli and Isle. Okay.
I've never seen it, but I've seen it in print, so I'm probably wrong.
I've never even heard of this. Okay, interesting.
Oh, it's one of those ones like you will have seen like in TV guides and stuff. It ran for years, and it was just one of those sort of like Grey's Anatomy-esque shows, or like Castle.
Okay.
But I think even Castle
you say in TV guides, like it's 30 years ago.
But I mean, like even back, like 20, like back in the day, you would have, like if you were flipping through a TV guide, you would have seen things for. And it's one of those shows that's hard to pitch because I think it's just about like it's like two detective like ladies, and like well what's the because even Castle had the hook of like he's like a crime writer going under and he's getting experience and you're like oh there's a hook, or like Monk was like he's got like ADHD and stuff and he's like really fastidious about things and there's like a kind of like a but I think Rizzoli's and Isle might have been just like they're two cops, or one's a cop and one's a forensic, and stuff happens.
And they don't get along.
Yeah, they don't get along, and then they become best friends.
Oh, who could have seen that coming?
Wow.
The same thing with Bones, the same thing, right? It was just like, The only thing about that was like it's Zoe Deschanel's sister and Angel, but like what's the pitch of the show? It's crime. Detectives doing crime stuff. Like, okay, I guess that a pitch like that will still work at a network where you can just go in going, get this, two cops.
I grew up watching Angie Harmon on late night TV shows because I was a big fan of like Letterman and Conan. Conan when he was on NBC. And she would just pop up occasionally because obviously that was around the time that she was a bit more popular than she is now. And I saw her on late night TV before I saw her in Baywatch or Law and Order. But it's Law and Order that I probably know her from.
Is it the main Law and Order or is it one of the spin-offs? Okay.
Yeah. She's like, let me see the judge. I'll get a judge. Search warrant. I've got it. It's on its way. But
every episode.
Yeah, every episode. It's like, guys, come on. This is the law, and we need to keep order.
And some punk kid comes into her office every time. He's like, "Oh, did I tell you about the law?"
Yeah.
McGarrness.
No, I just think she's brilliant. And obviously that's not all she's done, but I find it so incredibly cool that someone from Baywatch was Barbara Gordon.
Yeah. I think she might be one of the most like legit, like proper actors, performers to come out of Baywatch, because everyone else is like Pamela's Pamela. You know, you got people like Alexandra Paul and stuff, but like they're just sort of always in like, you know, relegated to like Sunday night Hallmark movies kind of stuff. And then, you know, Billy Warlock and people like that just fell off the map kind of thing. You know, Yasmin Bleeth, you don't see her much anymore. But yeah, like Angie Harmon. Maybe because she had the extra like little edge of being Baywatch Nights. Yeah. Like, that's not the main show. She seems to be
real
like
one.
For someone who was just like, just got, you know, Hasselhoff saw me on a plane. To actually have etched out like, I've been the star of several very successful TV shows that ran for several years and stuff. To be like, I'm a legit actor. You know, it's a fair play to Angie Harmon. Did the work, you know, and got on the right plane at the right time.
Yeah, he booked the right flight.
That's all it takes to become a success.
Yeah. But yeah, at the Batcave, we do get Bruce and Ace doing some Dark Knight detecting. Mm-hmm. And we do get our first like. It's almost like they chose this scene in particular to kind of re-emphasize, like, we've redesigned them, okay? Like, we get that little clip from Holiday Nights of I don't know if you remember that, John, but we reviewed Holiday Nights.
Yeah, was that our first Christmas special?
That was indeed. And like they had that little bit of the Joker in the referee's outfit saying the stuff he says in this little clip that Bruce is watching now. But of course, back then it was the black eye, white iris or white pupils Joker. And, you know, no red lips, all that business. And now they're almost like emphasizing, like, we've chosen a clip from that episode to reassure you that he does not look like that anymore. Because we know everyone was pissed off about it.
Yeah,
we know you all hate it.
Yeah, it just really emphasizes the notion that it's an art style, not like legitimately what the character looks like. Because I know there are a lot of people that get worked up about Batman's different costumes. Like, well, if he's wearing this blue costume, then that must mean it happened in this year. If he's wearing the grey one with the black, then it must mean it happened in this other year.
I'm assuming you are familiar with the Watchtower database then on YouTube.
Well, I didn't want to put them on the spot, but yes. It's not just them.
Sometimes I've gone to them for research and you're just like, guys, you're doing too much. Like,
have we ever heard of dry cleaning? They could have just been at the dry cleaners.
Well, yeah, I had a similar experience because Kevin Altieri told me that Mask of the Phantasm was a prequel to all of BTAS. Like, the whole film took place before that point. And the amount of people going, he's wrong, he's insane, look at the costume, it's not the same as the one that was in Robin's Reckoning. It can't possibly have happened that way. I'm like, well, he's the guy that directed it, okay? If he says that's what it is, that's what it is. And then you've got to fill in the blanks yourself. And
does it really matter as well? Because as you pointed out, it's just an artistic choice.
Yeah.
It's not trying to connect things in that, you know, level of detail. It's like, we have to make sure it's exactly right. It all lines up. But that kills freedom, creativity.
So I think even like Paul Dini had a term for it. It was like rubber band reality or like Peanuts logic or something. I think you'd always talk about like, there's no set, you know, continuity. There's no set like whatever. There's like Batman's as old as he needs to be. He's as young as he needs to be. And then, you know, the characters, they're definitely dead. No, they're back. You know, it's just sort of, it's a cartoon. You know, you have to sort of just play fast and loose with the rules sometimes. But I do also love, though, Bruce. Because, you know, last time we saw Bruce doing something like this was, of course, in Mask of the Phantasm. I'm hoping now he's about to get out his big, massive photo album and go through every single person and just draw a red smile over them. Just go, nope.
It's the future. He doesn't need a pencil anymore. He's got a button that will do it for him.
Yeah.
Is it going through like, okay, Teri? Got another picture of Teri? Okay, good. Okay. Ace? Just better make sure. Drawing a smile on the dog. Nope, not him. Okay, we're fine. And then there's like the one person, because he doesn't keep in contact with anybody, so he's just like, Tim Drake. Wow, I never saw that coming. I never even took a photo of him. Like, the kid was only there so briefly.
It wasn't there for very long.
Oh, he's used to having loads of them around, you know.
But yeah, this is always a good little. It's like almost like a Batman trope now of him sitting looking at pictures of the Joker and just again getting ominous vibes. You know, we had it last Chunk when Tim was looking at him on the TV. But this is of course a great thing that was very memorably done in The Killing Joke. Of course, Alan Moore, the Killing Joke at the beginning is a goal of just great, beautiful artwork of Batman in the Batcave with like the big pictures of the Joker projected everywhere and identity unknown and stuff. And very it's getting chills even talking about it kind of thing.
I love all of this stuff here, like Bruce being like, because he knows what he saw, he knows what he heard, but he's still, there's a nagging thing in his mind of like, that doesn't make sense. How? And he's trying to figure it out, and he's kind of right and he's kind of wrong when you obviously get the reveal. It's like, okay, maybe that nagging doubt was telling him something. Yeah.
It's I think he's coming to do a little thing for his own sake of like, I know I'm correct, but I have to match these voices so I can prove to people that like I can be like, look, I'm not crazy. But although it would be crazier to say that is the Joker, or crazier to be like, no, of course it's not the Joker. He'd be like 90 or whatever. So, but as we do get like a little voice ID thing there, and of course Mark Hamill doing. I wonder if he re-recorded that clip. Like, did they just pull the audio from the episode, or?
Yeah, I think he did re-record it.
I'm tempted to go back and compare now.
Recording.
Yeah, I'll have to go and check now.
I kind of would love it if they did just pull it, because it would feel even more authentic. Like, I know, okay, you've got Mark Hamill there in the booth, just get him to do the line. No, I kind of like the effort of going and grabbing the old one.
It's again, that was like this made me think of the other Ghostbusters sequel we saw last week, where they actually have a bit of a news report and they're playing the Ray Parker Jr. music video as they actually went and got and stuff.
Yeah.
Which I'll bring up again later, actually. I've got a note on.
Well, I like the way in that universe that song and video existed.
Yeah.
I prefer that to it just playing again, like normal,
But yeah, the fact like someone like, oh yeah, these guys remember the song, and having to go and get like, they released this one guy released a single about them one time. Although no, I've got that also ties in because because obviously Teri comes in again with a different tact to Bruce, like he's learning and adapting to his environment, because he came swaggering into Barbara with like the Joker. And then she was like, oh no, he's the most dangerous man ever. And then now he's going into Bruce with this whole like, oh man, this Joker situation's pretty bad, huh? It's like trying to play him the other way. And then Bruce is almost dismissive, like, well, he was a psychopath, the monster.
I found it interesting that it sounds like obviously we know Teri doesn't really know much about the Joker, but it sounds like Bruce hasn't even mentioned him.
Yeah.
Which makes, but I actually find that more realistic, because Bruce is he's even more traumatized than anyone about everything that's happened. So he's like, I'm never going to mention this to this kid. Like, there's no need, there's no point. It's done. It's in the past. We're moving on. It's horrific.
He doesn't want to put him through it, does he?
No.
Yeah.
No.
It shows how serious it is,
It's also a bit weird though, because you think with his frequent run-ins with the Jokers, Teri might have been like, so what was the deal with the Joker? Like, at some point he might have asked. It could be Bruce who might have been like, I might have mentioned him if you ever asked me, asshole. But you just think about yourself, Teri.
Like, why didn't you mention him, Bruce? Huh. No. He just barks, doesn't he?
Yeah, but that's kind of the Batman's coping mechanism, isn't it? Whenever things get unpleasant for him, he pushes people away. He restricts access to for them. And you'll get to this in a minute, but at the end of this segment, or towards the end of this segment, he basically tells Teri to hand over his costume. Yeah. He's done a good job. He doesn't need to do anything else. He's avenged his father.
Yeah.
He's a good man. You're a good man, Teri.
You're a good man.
But of course, to Teri, it's not about avenging his father because initially he thought that his father had been murdered because of his actions.
Yeah.
But the reality was it was someone else entirely, completely unrelated, and he solved that case on his first attempt.
Yeah.
He continued being Batman because it enriched his life. It made him feel like he was of value, that he wasn't just he wasn't just some aimless street punk as he had been going on a crash course with prison. It made him be a better person, and it's become a huge part of his identity. And it was obviously very upsetting for him to have Bruce turn around and say, "Yeah, all right, thanks for everything you've done. Bye. See you later. Ciao."
I also get it though, because Bruce is worried about him, and he's like, "Well, okay, you achieved what you wanted, and you've helped loads of people. So look, you can call it a day now. It's fine. The city's better off for what you've done, but there's no need to put yourself in harm's way."
Imagine if, let's say, Zatara the Magician. Imagine if Zatara the Magician said that to Bruce when Bruce was young. How do you think he would have reacted? Not very well at all.
No.
And that whole attitude of Bruce's is why he's spent decades alone in that house. Because after, we'll get to this in a future episode, or I should say you will get to this in a future episode, the events of that last night with the Joker. After that, he cut off the entire Bat family. For in his mind, it was for their benefit. Yeah. But he irreparably damaged his relationships with Barbara and Tim, and probably Dick as well. And he was doing it for the right reason. He was doing it out of a position of love. He wanted to spare them and protect them, but it was completely ignorant of their wishes.
Yeah.
And that's why it felt like a punishment to them.
Yeah.
And in a way, he's kind of punishing himself for allowing these things to happen, because he's such a control freak that everything that happens because of him, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Tim was taken because he wasn't keeping a close enough eye on Tim. That's kind of where I'm going with that. He's a big control freak, and this is him trying to regain some power in his in the situation. I guess he's feeling kind of powerless because he's confused about what's going on with the Joker, and this is him trying to bring some control.
Yeah.
And it backfires.
Definitely, because he's almost like... He's sort of angry with himself as well that he can't figure this out. He's like, I killed the, he was dead, damn it. And he doesn't want to admit it to Teri that, like, this is really getting to me. But it's obvious even to Teri, he can see it.
And something Bruce doesn't understand, because he's such a control freak and just all of that, is that because he's trying to prevent them from going through traumatic things, by just leaving them, well, in a sense, just leaving them, but by cutting them off, that's traumatic as well. Yeah. Because like Luke mentioned, it felt like a punishment to them. And that's something that's, 30 years later, you have Barbara just not wanting to say anything to Teri because A, it was very sad and heartbreaking what happened. And B, she's still traumatized because Bruce was just like, no, bye, night, good night, and didn't call back.
It's funny you say that, though, because Barbara was doing the same thing with Teri. So I guess on a fundamental level, she probably understood why Bruce had done that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I do like as well that, because, Bruce is obviously a person who never really properly processes trauma. It's his whole thing. Never. The fact that his one method of processing trauma was Batman. And the fact that he had to give up being Batman and he doesn't have an Alfred to bounce off anymore, it was like a proper, like, been sentenced to prison for him basically to go up to Wayne Manor just to be like, well, that's it now. Like I just have to sit and stew and everything because, which is why though I love I really love the relationship between Teri and Bruce, which like the majority of the rest of this chunk is just them talking about their relationship. And what I really love in it is that, like, the mantle of Batman is like it can save people in various ways. Obviously, Batman himself coming in and literally saving the day and stuff. Yeah. But like as you were saying there, Luke, like Teri was like a juvenile delinquent. He was always sort of like, good heart, but always getting into trouble, spent time in juvie, was probably going to end up just being like, came from a broken home, and was just probably going to end up just being a standard crook of some sort, going out and doing little bits and bobs, and then becoming Batman made him a better person, made him the honorable, like the proper, full-blown honorable man that he is.
Yeah.
And
It was
then
his coming of age, wasn't it?
yeah, and then on the other side as well is Bruce Wayne was just a husk of what was Bruce Wayne or what was Batman, sitting down in the dark by himself, and then of course now by this point Terry's through interacting with Teri and getting back in the game, he's now out like taking over Wayne Enterprises again, and they do a beautiful little thing. They set it all up so well in the beginning of like the of the Rebirth episode, the first episode of the show, because when Teri comes in to Bruce's house, there's a bat trapped in the clock,
Yeah.
and he can't just let it go. He has to make sure the bat's okay and let it out. And that bat, it's one of those bat trapped, just can't get out and can't get moving again, and it's sort of just trapped and miserable. And it's one of those sort of what do you call them? One of those metaphors, where,
Yeah.
that bat is Bruce.
Very subtle.
You're crazy. You're crazy.
So that's it. But then I'm going to have to break this, live on air to John, because we've been saying the whole time, like, oh, you don't really need to have seen any more of Batman Beyond to understand this beyond the first 2 episodes, which is true. But there's a detail that came after this came out that you're not aware of, John. And now I'm going to put it to you. Because you saw Terry McGinnis' father dying,
Yes.
Poor old, what was his name?
Oh no. I know where this is going.
Let me guess. In like comic book fashion, he's actually alive.
No. It's worse than that, John. It's much worse.
Oh no!
In the episode epilogue of Justice League, which was originally supposed to be like the capper of the whole DC animated universe, and then they got another season, it is revealed that Terry McGinnis is in fact the cloned son of Bruce Wayne.
Oh no!
Amanda Waller,
Now,
as part of the Batman Beyond initiative that she set up, because she knew Batman was getting old, and she's like, I admire him now.
I don't mind that as a concept. The initiative, like, oh yeah, we need to. That's fine. Cloning.
Yeah, she decided. There actually is a good line where she's saying like, "Oh, so I decided I was going to clone him. Getting Bruce's DNA was easy enough. He left it all over town. That's not remotely what I was.
And then left it all over town, baby.
And then he does. She found like an exact match for like the psychology types of Bruce Wayne's parents, and then got the dad brought in to the doctor, had Bruce's DNA injected into Terry McGinnis' dad without telling him. And then, so it encoded itself onto him. So not only Terry, but his little brother are like
they're his
clone
sons.
we
Don't use the C word. They're his sons. The only clone is Warren McGinnis's balls, okay?
Oh, no. See, this, to me, that takes away from the character of Terry.
Oh, 100%. And this is all stuff that would come up like, again, in a property featuring Mark Hamill that would end up like been much more seismic. But like this is all proper Last Jedi, Rise of Skywalker stuff, where it's like the whole point of Terry McGinnis to me was just like, yeah, anyone can be Batman. If you have a dejected, juvenile kid, if steered right, could become a hero. And he
that's inspiring to kids.
And he could literally be one of the things with Batman is I was like, oh, anyone can be Batman, but also there was like well, it helps if you're a billionaire, that kind of thing. But Terry, because it's again, it comes from parents divorced. He's a normal kid going through normal stuff, and then sure enough, he gets financing from the billionaire, but he doesn't have all the years of training and stuff. But he by the end of this film is Batman. Well,
again, kids can connect with that because you could be taken in by a billionaire. You don't have to be the billionaire.
Yeah, although most billionaires, if they're offering to take you in, maybe don't. Maybe double check. But then to turn it around and it just be another like, oh, she's Palpatine's granddaughter. Like to be like, no, he's actually. And the most annoying thing is that epilogue episode has some of the best stuff in the DCAU in it. Like there's some incredible stuff in there. The death of Ace, all that stuff. Phenomenal scenes. There's a little nod to Divine, John Waters' Divine, drag queen Divine is in there for a split second, which I really love to see. But
okay, now you're winning me back.
At the tail end, just to be like, oh, by the way, he was his clone the whole time. Like, What? Why? What have you done that? Like,
His son. He's his son. He's not a clone. He's his son.
Let's forget all of that. Let's forget both of those. That's not happened, okay?
Well, it hasn't happened yet. If we're
true.
placing ourselves back in time,
So we
when
don't
this
have
came
to
out.
deal with it.
I think I'm the only one that thinks that's like pretty cool.
Well, I mean, I can see
Yeah.
see the argument for it, because the whole message Amanda Waller gives Teri is that it doesn't matter where he came from. He's in control of his own destiny. It doesn't matter who his father is or isn't. He doesn't have to follow the same path. And she says something along the lines of, you have a lot of similarities to Bruce. You've got his heart. You don't have his brain, though, but you've got his heart.
No, that's an interesting choice, though, because, of wording, because it ties into what you were saying, Niall, about it being a bit like Last Jedi, Rise of Skywalker, because the people who defend the twist in Rise of Skywalker say that. They say, oh, yeah, but now what it's about is it doesn't matter where you come from in a different way. Because it's like, oh, well, she comes from Palpatine, but you don't have to follow that path.
yeah.
So it's the same kind of argument, yeah.
Yeah,
But
I still
it's,
prefer it if he wasn't his son, but it is what it is.
If they're going that way, then at least they've got a vaguely sensible reasoning.
It does kind of like make the capper though of Teri kind of been a combination of all three Robins though in a weird way, because like it's got the kind of juvenile, from the wrong side of the track streak of Jason Todd. He's got the he's sussed out that Bruce Wayne was Batman, like that Tim Drake has, and some of some elements of Tim Drake's personality is in there as well. And he's kind of got the smart aleckiness of Dick Grayson. And then there's and now he's also Bruce Wayne's son, like Damien. There you go. He's now
Literally
all
of
Robins
them.
in one.
Yeah. Oh, he's the Robin of all trades.
And a master of none.
So true.
Poor Teri.
I do like it when Teri is, his argument is that, he's still making up for his past sins. And Bruce said, you've already done that, kid. It's fine, But what I kind of understand Teri, because I guess it's all about how you feel about yourself, though. It's all well and good. Other people say, no, you're redeemed. It's fine. It's how Teri feels about Teri.
Yeah.
I think there's also an element too that, in many ways, Teri could be. He could be more than Batman. He could be a Batman Beyond.
Oh my god!
He said the title. He said the
title. Oh my god!
Unless
That's
you're
what
in
they
the
intended.
UK, where it's Batman of the future. It makes me mad still. Sorry, go on.
But just from this little interaction where Bruce is like, oh, so you've avenged, even though they've been through dozens of adventures since, he's like, well, you've avenged your father's death, so I guess your business here is done. Whereas Teri continued being Batman because it was the right thing to do. He's like, well, the city needs someone to step up, and I am going to do it and he's like, Terry's kind of got a healthy relationship with his parents and stuff, and he's got relationships. He knows people outside of the mission. Whereas Bruce Wayne is the reason he continued on being Batman is kind of because he's crazy.
And he didn't have anything else,
Yeah, he had nothing. He never got closure on his own parents' death, and it was just a lingering trauma that just obviously effectively destroyed his life in many ways. And so, but at the end of that epilogue episode, Dana at that point knows that he's Batman. And he's outright going to propose to her, and it's he could have it all. This guy, he could be, he can be a hero, and he can also have a fully functioning social life. He could go beyond what Batman was, the crazy old guy in the cave kind of thing. But it's I'm just really intrigued by this what Bruce is doing here and how genuine he's being. Because what Teri comes out with is very moving, and it's actually very he's just been laying all the cards on the table.
Yeah.
And they're just it's two bros been bros, And it's just I respect you, bro, but I respect you, bro. But then when Bruce is he hears Terry's reasoning of it gave me a second chance and all this, and it's a very convincing case of let this guy go on being Batman. He's getting really good at it. And then for Bruce to be stupid kid, you don't know what you want. Do you think he means that, or is he just I need to, for his own sake, because of what happened to Tim?
I don't think he means it.
You think he's just deflecting and he's just get the hell out of here?
I think he wants Teri in some weird Bruce way, he wants Teri to fight back against that because he knows that somebody's gotta fix this situation. That's what I think. Maybe I'm looking too much into that, but I feel that he really wants him to fight back. Maybe it's a secret test.
Well, you have to remember with Batman, he uses his mind, and if he can't solve things with his mind and his words, he resorts to violence.
The best way.
Yes, actually, sometimes I think that is the best way. But been reading too many Batman comics, I think. But obviously, being a feeble old man, he can't actually hit Teri, so he hits him with his words.
Yeah.
So I think it's a little column A, little column B.
Yeah.
I think it's something he does think, but you know how we all have these reactionary mean thoughts, and then that secondary thought comes and goes, "Come on now, that's unreasonable. That's not right. Here's the additional information to prove your initial thought wrong."
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Never experienced that.
No. No. So he's hurting him.
Yeah, he is. He's hurting him to push him away, to save him. That's what he's thinking, anyway.
Yeah, he's worried about him. He thinks, it's happening again.
Yeah.
And Bruce, he's taking a lot of things as well, because Teri has to point out to him, I came in and stole the suit. I'm 100% in on this mission. Whereas Bruce is I have no right to impose this life on you. As if, it was me making you be Batman the whole time. Whereas so many times he was get the hell out of here, kid. At the beginning of the show, he wanted nothing to do with Terry McGinnis. He was going to let the Jokers kill him at one point.
Yeah.
I also love Terry's little... It feels like it's a line he's used on, trying to pick up girls or something. Because he goes into a little soliloquy about his life. It's almost kind of over-romanticizing himself. He says something something about breaking his parents' hearts. And he comes out with a very eloquent sort of little spiel about himself. He's kind of wistfully looking on there. But it's borderline I'm a rebel, Dottie. Like a lone wolf. You don't want to get mixed up with me, Bruce. And Bruce kind of looks over and don't try to be the crazy lone wolf with me. I invented crazy lone wolf guy.
That's my shtick.
You go out to see your mother and go and date your girlfriend, asshole. I didn't have any of that.
Such a cruel world.
There's another little thing there that it's not. I don't think it was in any way intentional, but for the purposes of of continuing things that were brought up in the show way back when, in my mind's continuity now, we do get, of course, to see the dinosaur in the back there of the Batcave.
I thought you meant the dinosaur.
We're gonna open the door, get on the floor. But look, we talked about that dinosaur way back when, at the beginning of Batman and Robin.
Feels like about 10 years ago now.
Yeah, so long ago. And, of course, during the bit where Batman's sliding down, Fred Flintstone style, Batman and dinosaurs, let's get into it. But in the DCAU continuity that was in the extended comics later on, you discovered what the deal with the dinosaur was. And it was, of course, that Dick Grayson had been involved in a caper where him and Bruce ended up taking down a villain, and then this robot dinosaur was left and stuff.
Yeah.
And Dick was really oh, so cool, so and Bruce was really oh, god damn it, kid, just take things seriously, will you? And yada yada yada. And then Alfred has to have a word with him, going this kid has nothing, he's lost his family. You know what that's like. You have to kind of let him have his achievements and stuff like that. And people like medals and like to think, kids like to think that they're getting somewhere. And so, in a big old softy that he is, Bruce ends up putting up the dinosaur there as a reminder of what Dick did and stuff. And then at the end of that issue, when Dick moves to Bloodhaven, they become, go on and have his own life and become Nightwing. Bruce sends him the dinosaur as there you go. That's a little token. The fact that it's back in the Batcave now, though, kind of makes it Dick's return to sender happened at some point there, where he's
I want that story. What happened there?
Yeah, ouch.
You never know. He might have taken the dinosaur from Mean Seasons when he was fighting Calendar Girl as a replacement. Perhaps he missed it too much.
He got really tied the room together, that dinosaur.
To be fair, if I gave a dinosaur like that away, I'd be devastated. I'd be why did I give that away?
Imagine when Alfred was helping decorate everything, and he's just oh, so he strapped you to a giant coin, you say, a giant coin would look quite well in that corner over there. Is there any chance I'll look into it, Alfred. Yeah, sure.
Oh, I miss Alfred.
Oh yeah, but But it's one of the things too. Like, yeah, I don't think we ever get closure on what happened. We just assume, I guess, he just hopefully died peacefully, Alfred. Like, I don't think they ever get into exactly what occurred, but he is a sorely missed presence in not just Bruce's life, but in the show in general.
Yeah. I would have loved to seen like a full episode of Batman Beyond just called Alfred Beyond, and you would get his whole story.
Yeah. It almost feels like they are doing him a little disservice. Like, it's fair enough not to mention what happened to Dick Grayson and stuff. And he's like, oh, you're just leaving things open, and it's not all about the past. It's about the future. But just like a little thing about like Bruce talking about how much Alfred meant to him or something. Like, just to be like, yeah, this guy was like, he was my dad, basically. Like, there's a whole thing in Batman recurring about fathers. The fact that like by the end of the show, Bruce is basically Terry's dad. In a metaphorical sense and apparently in quite a literal sense. But yeah, it feels a bit weird. They never threaded that needle, unfortunately. But, although again, though, in Teri, sorry, go ahead there, May.
I said he just went off with Maggie into the sunset. That's it.
Let's choose to believe that. Let's just make that the headcanon of the. Although to talk about more lighthearted things, though, again, because Terry says like you never talk about the Joker, like he must have, and then he started making up his own continuity. It's like me and John over on Miami Minutes, where we're talking about Miami Connection and just have to make up entire backstories for characters. So.
That's the best bit.
And Terry's just like, oh, he must have done something so horrible. And he's like, in his mind, just starts creating a story about what the Joker did. He's like, what are you talking about? That didn't happen at all. Again, it is a little weird, because I'm not too sure where this would fall in the continuity of the show. But there is, of course, a great episode about the return of the Al Ghul family. Don't want to spoil what happens in it, because we have to watch that sometime, John, and your mind's gonna be blown when you see what happens in it.
Not in a good way, by the sound of it.
Oh no, in a good way. It's amazing what happens. But at the beginning of that, Terry and Bruce go out to Batman the Musical. And it must have been like the most fun Kevin Conroy ever had, because he gets to be cranky Bruce Wayne sitting grimacing, Terry going like, come on, this is totally Shui, and him going, it's Schwarbage, and just like been grumpy old git. But also he gets to sing as Batman on stage, like the guy playing him, Kevin Conroy, is also doing that voice of the actor playing Batman on stage, and he gets to sing all this, a superstitious cowardly lot, and whole big theatrical bullcrap production where there's like a woman dressed up as Catwoman, but she's like a cat from Cats, like it's a literal cat woman, and there's guys all dressed up as like the different villains and stuff, and there's like there is a Joker on stage, and it's Batman and Gordon tap dancing and duetting about the criminals of Gotham and stuff. But you think at that point though, it's like, oh, so what do people know about the Joker here again? Where like, is he the main villain of this musical, or like, how much info does everyone have watching Batman the Musical? It's just like, there was a plant lady who could control things? Like, what was happening here? And like, oh, there was an ice guy. Whatever happened to him and stuff? But, yeah, it's weird that Bruce never talks about the Joker at all. It's like, we saw a musical about the guy, and you wouldn't even tell me what happened to him.
Well, I suppose then we cut, don't we, from the Batcave? Well, Terry storms out first.
Oh, yeah, that was...
He throws the suit down.
I was saying at the beginning of the season, like one of the things that really acted as part of the genesis of Batman Beyond was the popularity of things like Buffy and Dawson's Creek. And this is the most Dawson's Creek moment of the whole movie, where like he throws down the backpack and then he's just running up the stairs like a sullen teenager. Like it's a real like, this is a house of lies.
Tell you what though, as a viewer, I mean, you know, this isn't the end of it. Oh, he's given him the suit, but he's not throwing in the towel.
This is like, it's too early in the movie to do this trope, exactly. Almost really. Like,
well, I'm talking about if you suspend disbelief now. Come on. If you're living in the world of the movie in your head, you still know. You know. He's not calling it quits. Come on.
No. Come on. Like, it's like, it's only, we got like 40 minutes of the movie left. Like,
God damn it.
Although what do you think that Bruce is planning to do, though? Whereas it does seem like a weird... We know why he's doing... Like, he's trying to push, Terry away. But why do you think he's doing this, like... It just seems insane that, like, oh, the Joker seems to be back. What is Bruce going to do about it? Like, he can't... We see him later on, like, trying to make an antidote to the, the Joker toxin and stuff.
Yeah.
Is he planning to go? He's like, oh, I'll go and do it myself. Like, he's asking for the suit back. It's like, it's time for me to suit up, kid.
I mean, I actually think that is what he's doing. There's a reason why he's making all of those vials of the Joker antitoxin.
Oh, true.
And he wants the costume back. I think he's decided that he's going to try and sort this out, even if it kills him.
Yeah, because it might be the last thing he does, but he's going to fix it because he couldn't fix it before.
Yeah.
And the mistake that he thinks he made before, he's going to rectify that by doing it now.
Whatever
you're
that
right.
is.
Yeah.
He
'Cause you
sees
never
it as
figured
like, this
out.
is my mission. I didn't complete it. So,
Yeah.
There's part of me now that really wants to see old man Bruce. Like, I guess we did see him in a Batman costume in one episode where he gets on the big giant suit to fight Ink. But that's not, like, him, like, squeezed into Teri's suit, coming out with the cane, like, all right, let's go, Joker. It's time to finish this one more. It would come across, again, not to go back to Ghostbusters again, but, like, that vibe when, like, you actually did finally get Bill Murray back in the suit, and you're like, oh, yeah, it looks really old now. That's a shame. Although on the other side, you got freaking Ernie Hudson, 78. Ernie Hudson looks about 40.
Yeah, it looks like
Apparently
about
he's
10 years have maybe passed. That's it.
Yeah, he
That
looks like he's going to
man
live
is
another
amazing.
50 years, that guy.
Yeah.
I cannot believe that he's 78. Like, it's insane.
He should wear the bat suit.
Why not?
If Ernie Hudson swaggered in now, I was like, I'm going to take care of this, Bruce. I'll be
Yeah,
like,
like, this- I'll do it.
I trust him. He can do
Let
it.
him do it.
I fought Marshmallow.
Sadly, he doesn't swagger in because Terry swaggers out, and then we cut to the next
Well, it's
day.
just swaggers out is the most like Katie Holmes running up the stairs to slamming his bedroom door and stuff.
I get it. We've all done it. We've all done it. I was going to say at his age. I think we did it younger than him, to be honest. But
I really wish they just ended the scene with him running up the stairs. You hear a door slamming, and then you just hear behind the door like corn or something blasting really loud.
oh, that would have been me at like 15. Yeah. But then we do cut to the next day, and he's back at the family home, and I genuinely like this bit. I actually thought this was really smart. His brother just pretends to not even know who he is. Like, you know, who's this loser? I've never seen you before in my life, kind of a thing. It's like, oh yeah, okay, winding him up because he never comes home.
Yeah, this is a great little family moment too, even before he says anything. It's just how. Because Terry just knows this is an annoying kid. He's my little brother. He is annoying. That's all he... Like, every interaction with Maddie in the show is just like one like annoying little twip.
Yeah.
And then for him just to be sitting, just trying to... He knows something's coming, but he's just trying to eat his cereal in peace. And just kind of staring ahead, just like, what's it going to be? And then
You can't avoid it.
And then, Mom!
And I think Terry as well, he doesn't like vocalize this, but I imagine if you were him, you might feel a little bit embarrassed that you've had to come home.
Yeah.
Because you were doing quite well. You had this good job and stuff, and all of a sudden it's like, yeah, I don't work there anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, like it doesn't tell them what happened. So they must know, it must have been something pretty bad.
Yeah, yeah. And also, too, like, that money that Bruce Wayne was paying us,
yeah.
I don't think that... Although I don't know if Bruce would formally be like, oh, yeah, I'm not paying you anymore either. Like, would he be that much of an asshole? He's like, oh, if you're not doing anything for me, then of course the checks are going to stop coming. So
I imagine Bruce is the sort who would still send the check, because this is an era where, especially in America, you still got a check.
Yeah.
I imagine he would send the check. Terry wouldn't pay it in.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, it probably would be the thing where it just like ends up he's got like 10,000 credits or whatever
Yeah.
lying to the
Yeah.
side. He's like,
I love this scene because he's back home. He's eating cereal, being annoyed by his little brother. He's gone from this, Cape Crusader lifestyle to the very next morning back to being a 17-year-old.
Yeah.
yeah, it really is
And-
just like the whole image of like, I
Yeah.
am vengeance, I am the night, and like the dark, twisted, weird figure of the Batman, and then just be like, nah, shut up, would you?
Yeah.
Hey, even a superhero has to eat their Cheerios? I don't know what he's eating. No, it looks more gloopy.
I thought it was porridge for a while, but
So did I. I always thought it was oatmeal. What do you call it?
Porridge.
Yeah, porridge. Because it was just like, it would just come off the spoon a little bit, like you said, gloopy. It's like, oh, tasty.
I think we all know Batman has Weetabix for breakfast.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Well, it depends on what cereal company is sponsoring the film, I think. That's the answer. I also love this little scene as well of just life in the McGarrness household.
Well, the mum takes it surprisingly well, doesn't she? Because I thought she might be a bit angry, sad, but she kind of is just like, oh well.
Yeah, I guess she might also be happy because it's just like, well, he's worked to the bone over at the stately Wayne Manor. It's like, well, maybe get some time off to be a kid.
Well, that's true actually, because from her point of view, Bruce is really working this kid, like, because she doesn't know what he's doing.
It's like literally every night. He's just like, yeah, he's off at this old guy's house doing God knows what.
That sounds really wrong.
The whole concept of Bruce taking in these young boys is it sounds bad on paper, doesn't it?
I did think that line was a bit bad because, like, Mom, there's some stranger in here. It's just like, there's some strangers broken into the house. That's fair enough. And then when she's like, it's your brother. It's like, Maddie doesn't actually think it's some guy who's broken into the house. Like, you don't have to.
She didn't get the joke.
It's just like, I could be a Dark Knight detective as well. Look, that's his brother. I sussed it out. I cracked it this one.
Clever.
But I think this is the only chunk we get really with Teri Garr here. Don't know if she was cast exclusively because her name was Teri. Yeah, that was they're sitting around the casting booth going, I don't know. Hey, look, this one begins with Teri. We'll cast her.
That'll do.
What do you folks know Teri Garr from? Like, what would your big things? Obviously, beyond Batman Beyond. What would you jump to as being the Teri Garr in your mind?
So, off the top of my head, I don't know who Teri Garr is, other than Terry's mother. Yeah, I know. Shocking.
Mary, are you a bit more literate in the ways of Teri Garr?
No, I'm not.
Oh, wow.
I'm looking at her picture on my phone now, and I'm like, I've definitely seen this person in a few things, but I cannot remember what they are.
She's one of those who, when you look at like what she's been in, you'll be like, oh yeah, I've watched these movies, but you might not pick her out.
She was a big deal way back when, and she retired in 2011 because she has MS, apparently. And she's like, so she's just sort of, just dealing with that. But yeah, way back when she was Academy Award nominated for Best Supporting Actress for Tootsie. Yeah, she was the love interest in Tootsie, and she goes way back. She's like a real, she's in that sort of Goldie Hawn kind of vein, back real sort of blonde, sunny, very vibrant. Always plays kind of ditzy characters, very 60s, like that kind of vibe. Apparently, her first speaking role in a movie. John, we're going to have to cover this film at some point because it comes up so often.
Oh, I'm up for it. Yeah.
But she was her first speaking role was in the movie Head.
Really?
Yeah, the Jack Nicholson scripted Monkeys movie, which is, of course, always have to point out the joke that Jack Nicholson called it Head because he wanted the sequel to have the tagline "From the guys who gave you head."
That would be good.
And then going through her IMDb, I noticed that Teri Garr has been in a movie called Head. She's in the movie Dick. Playing Michelle Williams' mother. Dick is actually talking about Dawson's Creek there a couple of minutes ago, but Dick's actually a great movie. It's all about, like, in the early 70s during the Watergate scandal.
Yeah.
Kirsten Dunst and Michelle Williams are kind of like, they're kind of a vaguely Romeo and Michelle-esque kind of teen girl duo.
Fantastic.
Who end up like walking Richard Nixon's dog as a job, and they kind of get inadvertently embroiled in Watergate and stuff. It's actually a really, really fun film. It's a shame that
I haven't seen that in like 25 years.
Yes, now's the time. You can.
I mean, I'm only 21, but I haven't seen it in so long. But yeah, you're right. That is a great movie.
Now's the time to get Dick out again, I think.
Yeah, you gotta get that Dick out. You gotta get it out. Whip it out.
No, but Teri Garr went there because she's in Head, Dick, and then a movie called Life Without Dick. Which is there's a Sarah Jessica Parker comedy, which is, the title is going for that. That's the joke.
Oh, they know what they're doing. Yeah.
But I don't know if she was just attracted to these, although she does talk about apparently she met Jack Nicholson in acting class. She started off she's the daughter of a ballerina who went on to be, her mother was a ballerina and then one of the Rockettes. and her dad was like a Broadway actor of like sort of middling success. And then she wanted to be a ballet dancer. And then worked it to the point where her feet were literally bleeding and stuff like that. And then just decided, no, it's not for me. I'm going to go into acting. And then she was in an acting class back in the 60s with Jack Nicholson. And so Jack cast her in Head once he got like, I'm writing a movie for the Monkees. And she kind of fondly talked about like, oh yeah, that was a really stupid thing where I had like one line about like sucking, snake venom out or something like that.
Oh, God, I can imagine exactly what it's like.
Head's like a crazy movie. Like it's properly like it's full on 60s psychedelic nonsense. Like it's clearly written when Jack Nicholson is off his head, basically.
Yeah.
And then one of the things, Teri Garr's come up in the show before, way back again in Batman and Robin, because when I was going through all the 60s Mr. Freeze episodes, one of the ones with Eli Wallach, I think, at the beginning, there's just like a girl on roller skates. And I was like, that's Teri Garr. And they didn't credit her in the end, but looking it up, it's like, yeah, that is Teri Garr. A good, very early role in the background. But then, she the thing that got her really on the map was she was in Star Trek in that episode Assignment Earth, which was the one that was designed to be like a backdoor pilot for another show.
Yeah, I know the one. Yeah.
About like was he an alien or something, or he's from the future or something like that. Gary 7 was this guy, and then he was go around. He got on the Enterprise from Earth somehow, and he's going around with a cat called Isis. And I was like, oh, and then Beta there's a cat called Isis as well.
It's a good name for a cat.
Yeah, and it goes with the heart of Isis and stuff in Batman and Robin and whatnot. And then the Teri Garr played like she was the lady who got embroiled in the whole scheme, and she was like in 60s crazy psychedelic outfit and stuff. And apparently she had such a horrendous time. Apparently it was all down to like Gene Roddenberry kept shortening her skirt over and over. Other stuff that she refuses to talk about, but like people said, like interviewers have said, if you bring up Star Trek, she will completely shut down. And she doesn't like Star Trek. She doesn't like sci-fi. She seems, which is weird because she's in Batman Beyond, which is ostensibly sci-fi.
This kind of rides the line,
But and I think she said like, yeah, that role got me because she's playing a kind of like a ditzy sort of like, absent-minded, the cute girl next to the serious guy, and then apparently she played that part in several other things for a while that she kind of complained about. It's like, yep, that was me for quite a period, and then she gets into The Conversation, the acclaimed Francis Ford Coppola movie, The Conversation.
Okay,
yeah.
She's in, and then her career really just takes off in the 70s. Young Frankenstein is the big thing. She's Inga. She's you would need an enormous Franzkucker and all that business.
Don't get me started on that again, listeners. I hate that movie, and I know I'm in the minority. I know I am. It's fine.
And she was also in Close Encounters of the Third Kind. She's
much better. Richard
Dreyfuss's wife. She beat out Meryl Streep apparently for the role. Because Steven Spielberg saw her in a coffee commercial. So, again, Hasselhoff sees you on a plane, you're the star of a TV show.
Yeah.
You take it.
If Spielberg sees you in a coffee commercial, he'll throw you over. He'll throw over Meryl Streep to get you. But in Close Encounters, because she's Richard Dreyfuss's wife, she's got like the not fun role. Where like everyone's there just to like, we want to get to the aliens. We want this movie about aliens, and she's the one having to be like, you're going crazy, Roy. Like the family's falling apart. And you're like, yeah, this is what would happen, but you don't get to do any of the fun stuff because you don't have to be the stick in the mud who's not doing alien stuff. I guess. And the episode goes on from there. She's in Mr. Mom with of course Michael Keaton. She's in. Tootsie, Academy Award nominated, and up through the 90s. She's in an episode of Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Hey.
Of course. There you go. Which also featured the Monkees. I looked into which episode was it. And it's like
the Monkees, the band.
Yeah, like Davy Jones of the Monkees shows up to do a dance, and I was like, and I was like, she was in the Monkees movie. And then looking into, she's also in After Hours, the Martin Scorsese movie. And I was like, oh, that's right. There's a big scene where she's dancing to a Monkees song in that. So it's like, Teri Garr and the Monkees are like...
She can't escape them.
Yeah. Like
intrinsically linked.
And then in the 90s, the career, because I think she was... she knew in the 80s she was having something was wrong with her, and in the early 90s they were like, it's MS. And then so the career kind of takes a little bit. She's in things like A Simple Wish with Mara Wilson, or Casper Meets Wendy with Steve Guttenberg. And it's not the heavy hittings. She's in, I thought, like, it was the Tommy Lee Jones movie, because it's like, yeah, Double Jeopardy. And I was like, wow. But apparently, no, it's a movie where Brittany Murphy's like a pregnant waitress at 17 or something. I was like, oh, it's almost like an Everything's Connected because of Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah, it counts.
And yeah, she's also she's in a thing. You know, put a pin in this, John. I think that's the thing I really want to do for the Patreon at some point. She's also in an episode of Tales from the Crypt, and that keeps Tales from the Crypt keeps popping up again on the show because everyone's been in it. Like Arnold Schwarzenegger directed an episode of it and stuff like that. So I want to go through. I think on Patreon we should start covering like every Batman connected Tales from the Crypt or something.
You know, I'll do it. I'll do anything.
Yeah, but and their Tales from the Crypt episode was directed by Michael J. Fox. So there you go. Yeah. She's also in Ghost World. She hooks up with Bob Balaban at the end of Ghost World.
That's her.
Yeah, that's her.
It's another good movie.
A great movie.
I haven't seen in a long time.
Oh, we talked about doing a minute-by-minute podcast on that at one point, and we're like, oh, no, we've got too much on our plate already.
Yeah. it'll be a good one, though. Oh, Ghost World. Absolute, like, cinematic masterpiece. So unsung as a film. Mm-hmm. And then, again, just to tie it all together, you would have also seen her in the Ray Parker Jr. video for Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Because, you know, at the end, when they just start getting in all celebrities, so, like, Danny DeVito shows up and just goes, Ghostbusters! And then there's a bit of, like, okay, who other people, yeah, like, George Wentz there. And it looks as if they literally just got him off the set of Cheers and just put a camera on him and just say Ghostbusters. And
I think that's exactly what they did.
Yeah. And then at the end, Terry Gars puts her hands up to her face like she's Macaulay Culkin. And it goes like, Ghostbusters! And it's like, I don't think you're getting the vibe of like what the song's like, because again, they were probably just told, say Ghostbusters, and we'll edit it in somewhere. But she's the last one at the very end of the video, she's like the last celebrity you see before they just cut the Chevy Chase doing a weird thing with a cigarette in his mouth.
Oh, yeah, the worst bit.
Yeah. And you just got like that was back in the day. They're just like, these celebrities like the movie. Like, they're not in it, but... If you like what Jeffrey Tambor likes, you might like Ghostbusters. that kind of thing. But yeah. So because it is ostensibly the last we see of Terry Garr in this movie, I thought I should get all her deets out of the way there. Yeah.
It's so lovely that one person can have like this web of knowing so many other people in that, and still end up with one of the best roles ever. The mom.
Really, being a mother is the ultimate of all roles, you know, in society.
As a cat mother, I have to agree.
I literally have my cat on my lap as I speak.
Yeah. Oh, why don't our cats do that?
Oh, if I'm recording a podcast, she's like, no, we're cuddling right now. Come on. I have no option. But something that's not so friendly and nice. I thought this was kind of interesting. The touch that the brother here goes to eat the cereal out of the box, which is gross, by the way. I don't approve of that, but kids do it.
I thought he was looking for the toy.
Oh, he could be looking for the toy. I forgot you don't get that anymore. So maybe.
It's an idea that even 40 years in the future, they'll still be packaging. Yeah, put some lump of plastic in the food there.
That's possible. Because the way I saw it was maybe he was just trying to eat some cereal, and it turns out his brother, who's just come back, has eaten it all.
Yeah.
And he's like, first day back already causing problems, but it could be the toy. But then why can't he find the toy? I can't imagine Terry's took it.
Yeah, Terry's eating it.
Well, maybe that's why they had to stop putting them in.
Tastes just like porridge.
You know what? I do pity kids now. It was the most exciting bit about breakfast. Was getting the toy out of the box.
And it was always, you only ever got it like once every like couple of weeks.
Yeah.
It was a real like, you had to wait for the new toy to come.
Oh.
And then you would play with it for like 5 seconds. And I was like, it's actually rubbish because it's just a cereal toy. They don't really put all that much effort into it.
Doesn't matter. It's still exciting.
I'm sure like if Neil Rickerson was here, he'd be like able to tell us all the old Batman cereal toys and be like, exactly how good they were.
Oh, hell yeah.
That's funny. Well, I don't know if you two are aware of, there's one of our other recurring guests, Neil Ricketson, but he does 1995batman.com, and he reviews merchandise. And he's like, if you're ever in need of a guest, he would be a great get because he's insanely knowledgeable about like not just like the Schumacher films, but like Batman in general. And he could, if you ever need to, he's always, whenever like a new like vehicle shows up, it's like we gotta get in Neil because he'll be able to tell us all about the toys and stuff, and he'll tell you exactly where it came from, exactly what the original design was like, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and stuff. So he's
I love that because I remember so many things from when I was a kid. I could ask him, like, oh, I remember this from this Happy Meal, like August of 1996. And he'd probably be like, yeah, it was da-da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
like,
100%.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, he probably has a video where he's just like literally reviewing it and going like, he is a... I know you know the pain, but he is a guy who's like, yep, my paycheck goes to collecting Batman stuff.
I know somebody like that.
Oh, who could it be?
Huh. There's a whole room in here. Who's but man? It's the butler again.
But yeah, and then Manny's about to, he's going into real, like, not even Commissioner Gordon, but like old school action movie commissioner, where he's like slamming his fist in the desk and talking, I want results, McGarrness.
Oh, I love Matty. You don't get enough of him.
Yeah, Manny's, I don't know if they ever did anything with him in the comics or anything, but like, again, he is also Bruce Wayne's kid.
No, he's not. Shut up. No.
They did. They made him Robin, and I hated it so much.
Matty
wow.
Yeah.
and Robin?
Yeah, I was just like, it's so obvious you should not do it. It's painful.
Oh, God. I'm angry just hearing it.
Yeah, I'm like, no thank you.
Yeah, the thing is with Matty, he is what Bruce Wayne could have been if he'd been able to get over his trauma. Because obviously he had the despair, I should say Matty has the despair of his father dying, but he didn't witness it. And he gets over it quite quickly because, you know, he's a young kid. He bounced back. He didn't focus on his despair. He had a good support network around him.
Yeah.
And I really like to think of him as being completely divorced from the Batman side of the McGarrness family.
Yeah.
Just completely uninvolved in it. And when they introduced him as Robin in the comics, I foamed at the mouth.
No, I'd agree with you there, because it just feels like that's a good dichotomy to have. This is like, yep, Teri he literally can walk between worlds. He's managed to work it out eventually, where he's got his Dana side, his family side, and his Batman side. And so, yeah, to have like Matty sort of muddying the waters there is like, oh, no, just keep him as like the annoying brother he sees every once in a while.
Yeah.
That's right.
Just keep him like that. That's it. We all have one of those. Whether it's a brother, a sister, or the pesky mailman. Just they don't need to become Robin.
Oh, that's so weird when Batman has made the mailman Robin. Like,
if he's young enough, that'd be fine. Not our mailman, because he's in his like 40s, isn't he?
I don't know.
They got Wayne Knight to reprise his role of Newman from Seinfeld as the mailman who became Robin.
Oh my god, it'd be so funny.
No, so, like, now I've talked myself into it. Just like, yeah, let's go. Just like Robin, Joker. But yeah,
Just got an image of the Joker beating Wayne Knight to death with a crowbar. Why is that making me laugh?
well, we keep saying that there should be like, because Batman has gotten so serious in cinema, like they seem to be very stuck in the like, you know, and I love the Matt Reeves Batman, but it's again like, oh yeah, it's very very somber and very like, you know, it's doing a great work, but like there is a fun side to Batman as well.
Yeah.
And we've been saying like, oh, they need to do like a throwback 60s TV show, like, and have it be like, you know, Aubrey Plaza as Egghead, like that kind of thing. And I guess you get that kind of in Harley Quinn, where it's just like, yeah, they're having fun with it and stuff. But like, I would fall in love with it. Like, yeah, you know, Jermaine Clement is Batman, and
absolutely,
you know, Wayne Knight is Robin. Like, there you go. That's the show. And it's just a full blown. It's like the '60s. It's like it's a full blown comedy show, sort of. Not like sort of just rolling around and enjoying how silly the whole thing is by being like, yeah, this guy, he's called the Coaster, and he like he just gets underneath everything. That's the villain this week. So, some stupid bullcrap like that. So. Oh. But that is this chunk of Batman. What we call Bat Minutes Beyond. Chunks of the Joker. We're
all chunked out.
Yeah, we have blown our chunks.
All down your ears.
But we always do open the floor to guests, though. If you've got anything else about the movie you want to talk about in particular, about the show, anything else you want to vent on about Batman Beyond, then by all means.
Well, Mary, you look like you have something you want to say.
Yes.
Why don't you go first?
So I know it's a bit silly and things like and like that, but I feel that in the scenes that we just talked about, that Ace kind of took over the Alfred role a little bit, because he gave Bruce that really, like, you said that to him? You're not supposed to say that to him.
Gives him the little looks.
Yeah, I love that. I love that all of his, his strays, if you will, always end up telling him like how it's supposed to be. But Ace in particular, in that scene, did take the role of Alfred, because sometimes Alfred would give you those or give Bruce those how dare you? You're gonna say sorry for that later.
Yeah.
Usually in the form of a sarcastic remark.
Yeah.
You'd say, "Well done, sir. You handled that exquisitely."
Yeah. Do you have anything?
Yeah, I mean, the big thing for me about Terry McGinnis is he is more like Spider-Man than Batman, I think. And shameless plug time, but I did a little video talking about all of the references to Marvel Comics in Batman Beyond. So if anyone hasn't seen that, which actually most people haven't, go watch that, please.
I think Terry's a brat.
Yeah, so was Spider-Man.
And the reason I say it that way, rather than saying something before that, is because I think we were all like Terry at one point. But here's the thing: Terry was a little bit smarter than I was when I was 17, and I'm kind of a little jealous of it, because when I was that age, I was more concerned about school or my job, which is a video store, not going out and saving the city, because
that you know of.
Well, yeah,
wow.
I don't know. I did sleep. I don't know what I did in my sleep, but I always, watching that when I was 21, I was like, 4 years ago, I had no idea that I could even, would even have a capability of doing that. Whereas the 17-year-old is like, yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do it better than everybody else, duh.
Hell yeah.
The thing is, because most teenagers too just go through phases and then look back sometimes like, oh, remember when I, like a goth phase or whatever. Yeah. And wonder if Terry ever looked back, it's like, oh man, remember that time I was Batman for a bit? Like, what the hell was I thinking?
Like it's a totally normal thing that kids go through. I was Batman for a while too.
Like looking at the photos and just cringing, like, oh, come on, black and red. Well, oh no.
The different suits. I mean, it's different years.
Huh?
Should we head off into the dark night?
We should.
Excellent. We shall indeed. Would our wonderful guests like to plug anything of theirs, promote anything of theirs, whatever you want?
Well, first, I'd like to say thank you so much. You guys are so awesome.
Oh, thank you.
It's really nice to actually be able to talk to people about this rather than me always just running my mouth a mile a minute.
Same.
We do have a podcast called Totally Shui, and I think it's pretty cool.
Hence the name.
So it's a podcast about the DCAU. So it's got a little bit of everything in there.
Yeah, we don't do like episode by episode commentary like a lot of podcasts out there. We tend to just pick abstract concepts that we just feel like talking about. Mary picked an episode about the pets of the DC animated universe. And that's not to say that we never talk about specific episodes.
Oh, we do.
We recently did a podcast about Two-Face, who's my favourite Batman villain.
Hey, good choice.
And I kept it to half an hour, that section. So, we did quite well there to not talk for 6 years.
If I did it episode by episode, we would have 16 years worth of recording.
Yeah, probably.
Do it.
But yeah, and also Luke's channel, youtube.com/serumlake.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's my channel. I think you have to put an @ sign before the username, but yes. And that's actually where the Totally Shui podcast lives. I don't put it on Spotify or Apple Podcasts because, YouTube's my platform. For people that don't want to have the YouTube app open, you can listen to it through YouTube Music and it'll play it in the background like Spotify.
Oh, yeah.
That's a little tip for everyone. I think that's YouTube's strategy for increasing engagement with their YouTube Music app there.
Well, it makes a big difference, like being able to do, because I subscribe to YouTube Premium, and that's something you can do with the videos. A lot of videos I watch, there's stuff you don't really need the visual component.
Oh, totally.
It'll be like long form video essays about things. And you're like, well, I know what they're talking about, so I don't really need to see. So the fact that I can just have it playing while I'm doing all the stuff, great.
Yeah.
I also feel a little bad because I do exactly the same thing. But then sometimes I do feel bad. It's like some of the people might have done, like, they spent hours putting together clips and making sure everything looked good. And stuff like that. It's like whenever I'm like watching, like if I'm, sometimes you got a movie on kind of idly, you might be like, go on your phone for a second or whatever. But when I'm watching anything animated, I'm like, no, someone slaved over that. Like, you have to pay attention to what's happening on screen because, in particular with animation, for me, because it's like, no, there was like a whole team of people had to, which is true of any movie, I guess, really, because someone had to be doing the lighting and the sound, and the actors had to get a little do all that. But like for some reason with animation, I feel it's like, no, there was so much time and effort went into that. You pay attention to what's happening on the television. So
Yeah, that's lovely.
Oh.
Yeah. Very considerate.
Yeah.
So just to finish up our little plug there, Totally Shui every other Sunday. And I do video essays on my channel. I've been releasing little animatic videos of Batman the Animated Series storyboards that people that worked on the show have given me. They are my favorite thing in the universe, and like hardly anyone watches them, but I'm going to keep doing them for as long as I've got the storyboards. Do it for you. Well, the thing is, these are like they basically show you the building blocks of how the cartoon was made. If you're at all interested in animation, you'll want to see stuff like this. There'll be people that will be curious about how these cartoons were made for centuries going forward. And Warner Brothers are incredibly secretive about it. They keep all of that stuff hidden away. They've done one Batman the Animated Series art book in 30 years.
That's wild.
And even then, that had hardly any of the actual production artwork in it. It had a couple of hundred drawings. Now, they would have drawn hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of drawings making these shows. And it boils my blood thinking about all of this artwork that is just filed away somewhere, or worse, has been thrown away.
Possibly that.
After all of that effort that went into it. So this is me trying to do my little bit of preserving the work of the people, the efforts of the people that went into making this show that has influenced me so much. And also to give them a bit of credit because, a lot of people think that, Bruce Timm did everything, or it was Bruce Timm and Paul Dini. And it wasn't just them. There were hundreds of people working on this, as Niall was just saying. Hundreds of people. All of these things that you love, that would probably been the idea of someone else. And, Bruce Timm probably didn't even enter his mind.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm going on a rant.
Feel free.
Yeah. I don't know what else I'm supposed to say.
Well, check all of that out anyway, and come and speak to us on Facebook at the Bat Minute Listeners Cave, Twitter /X or whatever the hell it's called now at Bat Minute. Instagram is the Bat Minute because someone got Bat Minute first for some reason. Like, who wants Bat Minute other than us? Like, I don't. It's bizarre. And check out our network, Sleepy Charlie Media, on Patreon. For a couple of dollars, you get more stuff, bonus stuff. Wonderful, wonderful. Check it all out. And we will be back next time with more delicious Joker Chunkz here on Bat Minute Beyond.
After a dismal dismissal and with no sign of a severance check, a dejected detective hits the discotheque. Our hedonist hero gets off the hook, dancing with a delighted Dana and Rachel Lee Cook. But all the techno-twisting suddenly hits a hitch, as there's hubble bubble, toil, and double trouble brewing, as voiced by a teenage witch.
As the demented duo and her dastardly deck attack a maskless bat, can Teri turn civilian savior and prove he's all that? It's murder on the dance floor, but you know better not to turn that dial. Batmites. Same bat pod, different bat minutes.